afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Friday edition of Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones, for this 18th of July, 2025. 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up as we are coming at you live from our good friends over at Triax57. Also on X, YouTube, Rumble, a lot of platforms, some show news as well to announce in the 5 o'clock hour as we, believe it or not, getting ready to say hello to August and head to the fall, which is right around the corner. And then we get into a lot of college football and, of course, the NFL. It is, as we like to say, a What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. And basically what that entails is, what made you say what the frig in the world of sports? Now, there's already a couple stories coming out, which we will get into, but we always encourage you guys to stay connected with us. Pretty easy to do. As I mentioned, all the platforms we're on, all the eyeballs, also Triax57 Facebook page and my YouTube channel alike. You can give us a follow as well, Rich Q on Q at IG, and of course, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Busy show today. John Bueller in the 5 o'clock hour. Lloyd Vance around 5:30. We're hoping to hear from 10-year vet, Super Bowl champ Hank Poteat, who's doing a great job as part of right now, as it stands, Iowa State and their coaching staff. And we talked a little bit about the Big 12 2 weeks ago. So we'll kind of see what Hank's been up to. It's been a while since we caught up. But, of course, won that ring with the New England Patriots first time around when they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of busy, I guess you can say, second half of the the Major League Baseball season is upon us, which means Qfecta is back out. The Qfecta is back out, and we'll give you those picks and plays. You've got some WNBA plays as well. You got all the stuff going on, NBA offseason. Lillard goes back to Portland. Go figure. What do I know? Right? I mean, that's, the thing about getting the bag. And he certainly got the bag. As I mentioned, Lloyd Vance in the 5 o'clock hour. NFL. Speaking of getting the bag, how about TJ Watt? That's a ridiculous, just unbelievable $123 million contract extension. So I guess the price of admission goes up in the NFL with some of these players. Lloyd and I, hopefully we hear from him around 5:25, 5:30 today. We're going to look at we typically go around the league with news and notes, as we always do, multiple times during the week. But we also want to get into some, 2 or 3 we're going to share. When I say sleeper teams that are ready now to take the next step, and these are really outside the box types of teams that we will get into in the NFL. So we'll hang on to that. John Bueller, when we talk to him, obviously, we will dive into a little college football, SEC with him. He's a Georgia guy. We'll get into a little baseball as well. Second half of the season is among us. And again, if you're just tuning in right now, the Cubbies up on the Sox. How about this? Red Sox in their 10-game winning streak. In a little bit of trouble right now, bottom of the 6. The Phillies are back in action tonight. They'll start a 3-game set against the Angels. Luzardo's on the hill. The Yankees will take on the Braves. So we'll talk to John a little more about that, even from a betting perspective. And you look around baseball, again, man, you get through that All-Star break, midway point, you get to the trade deadline, and we're going to see some movement. We're going to see what the Phillies are going to do, what the Mets are going to do, what the Yankees are going to do, what Detroit might do, what they might not do. If the Cubs are going to stand pat, the Dodgers. I don't think San Diego is going to be able to catch the Dodgers, but again, we'll get into that as well in the 5 o'clock hour. I don't know if you guys saw this. I mean, every time I turn around. So the NFLPA. Their ex-boss, Lloyd Howe Jr., resigned after an outside investigation hired by the union received documents this week showing that he was charged. He charged the union 2 visits to strip clubs, including about $800 in car services. That right off the bat made me say, what the frig, are you kidding me? I mean, one receipt that was obtained by ESPN shows he picked up a sedan. He was picked up in a sedan by a car in Fort Lauderdale International Airport. And there's a lot of gentleman clubs around that area. And it stopped at a Miami Gardens address. I mean, now we got investigating, right? It's airing out the dirty laundry with the NFL, which, what else is new, right? Nothing. What else is new when you start to talk about this kind of stuff? And then, as I alluded to, now that we are, and the Eagles get their rings today. Philadelphia Eagles get their Super Bowl rings today. So you Eagles fans got to be happy with that. I'm sure you'll enjoy those videos. That'll be out there as well. And obviously, the banner comes down when they open up the season. I thought about this, that we always talk strengths, weaknesses, weaknesses, weaknesses. And I know you can only say so much in nauseum with training camp around the corner, with preseason. Hopefully, we're going to kibosh that eventually. And then obviously, when you start to get into the regular season. But I'm looking around the NFL, and I tend to do this right around the middle of July, early August, because I think we know that there's going to be that handful of teams that are going to challenge each other in these conferences, respectively. And I still maintain teams like the Eagles, Detroit, Washington, they're not taking a step back. I don't believe that. I don't think the Bills are going to take a step back. I don't think Cincinnati is going to take a step back. But as Lloyd and I talk sleeper teams in the 5 o'clock hour, I've got 2 or 3 teams that I really feel are going to take a step back this season in the NFL. And I've made no secret in mentioning the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think this is the beginning of the end of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know people will sit there and say, well, as long as you got Kelsey, you got Mahomes, you've got Andy Reid, you're going to be okay. Well, I kind of stated my reasons a couple weeks ago where that division is a lot more competitive. And I think Denver is going to push Kansas City. The Chargers are going to push Kansas City. The Raiders are going to be better. So I'll throw it out to you guys. Give me a team or two. We're not talking about the sleepers right now, but when I say taking a step back, really outside the box thinking, you're talking about a team that every time we look up is winning the AFC West, winning AFC championship games, and going to the Super Bowl. And that's Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is the year that plug and play 13, 14 wins. I don't see it. I honestly, I don't see it. And I know that they can still win that division. I know they've got the veteran pedigree, the makeup, the build. But when I say take a step back, if Kansas City wins the division and they get bounced in the second round, that's a step back. Because if you look at their track record and what they've been able to do the last several seasons, you're getting to the AFC Championship, you're getting to Super Bowls, you're making Super Bowl appearances, you are winning Super Bowls. To me, that's taking a step back. And I'm going to give you another team. And Lloyd brought this up the other day. And I think the window is closing in this regard. I think there is a substantial amount of pressure on the Detroit Lions. I really do. I think there is a substantial amount of pressure on the Lions to not only make a deep run, but try to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a team, they're knocking. They've got a great offense. We know they lost some defensive pieces. We know they lost some defensive pieces to some injuries. They can score a lot of points. A lot of pressures on Jared Goff. There was a moment, a span last year where you said, okay, right now he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Thrown for 4,600 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. Offensive line did a very good job keeping him upright. But I look around the NFC and you're seeing some teams that are starting to trend up. And I think the Lions right now are going to take that step back. And I'm telling you, we always talk about this. You can win games in the trenches. You can win games close. You win. That's ultimately that's all anyone cares about. Like, get it done. Like Kansas City, right? Like Kansas City. How many games last year did we sit there and say, how did they win these games? How did they win? These not dominating performance or not beating teams by 17, 20, 21 points. The Denver game comes to mind. That's a game for all intents and purposes they should have lost. They should have lost that game. They had no business winning that game last year. But that's also the mark of a really good team. The Cincinnati game, close game. Hell, the Atlanta game, close game. The Chargers game, close game. The Raiders game. I mean, I'm going through it. Tampa in overtime. Denver on the block field goal. Carolina was a close game. The Raiders was a close game. So I think sometimes when you have it easy and you've shown that you can win close games, that's just a mark of a good team. But I think this is a year it just starts to come down for Kansas City. I really do. Man chimes in. Come on with these banker hours. We fired off at 4:00. I bet Q flew to Puerto Rico, sipping on a little tequila with Vince. That would be Puerto Rican rum. We're going to save the tequila maybe for like a little, Jose Cuervo, for Mexico. We would never, ever. There are no poor saps here, ever. Q probably flew to the motherland to walk Vince back from the Jax fandom ledge. I'll tell you what, he's probably, Vince is probably right now, not only is he probably sipping on some rum, it wouldn't shock me if he was probably, hanging out, doing a little smoking and joking. Let's make this a commander-free day. All right, we'll see how long that lasts. Chiefs have added some non-skill position players. I think they still win a division. I still think they will be competitive, and they might win a division. But again, we're talking about, step back. Will the NFL have any suspensions for Rice? Yeah, I mean, they're going to probably hand something down. He's sentenced to 30 days in jail. So, I mean, you don't think they're not going to suspend him? I mean, they can technically expedite the disciplinary process of Rice. So no matter what, he's going to get pinched with a multi-game suspension at some point of the season. I mean, there's no way he's not going to get suspended by the league. He is going to get suspended by the league because the NFL does not play around with this. And nor they should, even though at times we've been critical of the league because of how they pick and choose and how they hand out these certain suspensions. He also got tagged with 5 years probation. Yep. But listen, he's going to get suspended. And what's going to happen is the organization's going to decide, okay, he's 25, he's 26. They're going to chalk it up to a mistake. Remember, he missed a lot of time last year too. So they're going to chalk it up to a mistake. He started the suspension. They're going to see if he can right the ship. If he's not, then they turn around and they'll probably release the player, cut the player. Franchises, you get to a certain point where you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision if it's even worth the headache, especially if the player's really not contributing. Now, remember now, he tears right ACL in week 3, in week 4, right? So, hey, they might just turn around and decide it's just not worth it. They might. Because sometimes the NFL, when they step in like that, they figure it out, man. They figure it out quickly. All right, quick timeout. We're going to come back on the other side. We're going to see if we can track down Hank Poteat. We'll talk a little college with him. Of course, his playing career as well in the NFL. Quick timeout. We will come back on the other side.
Got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, going all in. Get it cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in the car. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in the car. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
We give the seafood spot a lot of airtime. All right. 417. We're going to try to work out a couple kinks here and see if we can grab our guy Hank. Don't forget, John Bueller is going to join me in the 5 o'clock hour. Also, Lloyd Vance in the 5 o'clock hour. You want to hear something crazy? Last year was their step back, 11-1 possession. 11-1 possession wins in garbage time. Yeah, you're talking about Kansas City. Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's the mark of a good team, right? But how do you say that's a step back? That's the question. I don't think it's a step back. I don't. I just think that's the mark of a good team. All right. I think we're going to see if we can pop up Hank and catch up with him, because it has certainly been a minute. I mean, that's kind of an understatement. There he is. My God. Now, can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you.
What's going on, man? I feel like it's been beyond a minute. I feel like the last time we were talking sports, talking football, we were trying to hit some golf balls out there in Delaware, hanging out at Kegler's, and I think you were getting ready to break for camp. So it's been a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, especially if you say I was getting ready for camp. Yeah.
I know, man. That took me way off guard. But Hank Poteat, of course, that 10-year pro, had a really nice career, Super Bowl champ with the Pats, and now doing some great stuff in the college ranks, coaching staff over there with Iowa State, which, by the way, had an outstanding campaign last season. I'm curious. So you went back to Pittsburgh. You were on their coaching staff for a little bit, correct? And then you went over to Iowa State?
Correct. So when I finished playing career, I went to an NAIA school for 2 years and coached with Mike Fury, who was my teammate in Cleveland. And then I went over and joined Paul Christaff as a GA/cornerback coach. So on paper, I was the GA, but I was actually the cornerback coach for 2 years there.
Is that when you were done playing, is that something that you initially, because think about it, right? You get that tenure with the league, you put an X amount of years, you played 10 years, you won a ring, you had a pretty good resume. Is that something you thought about post-career, getting in the coaching, or is that something that sometimes it just happens by accident?
You know what? To be honest with you, when I finished, I did not know exactly what I wanted to get into, but I knew I still wanted to be around young people to be able to kind of like impact them in any way possible. Um, so early on, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to get into media. Didn't like that. I tried it. One of my good friends, Gary Cobb. I would go on his radio station. I even went into the Eagle locker room with him and did the.
Sure, we know G Cobb. Yeah, you didn't want to have to ask for you didn't want to have to ask contemporaries questions, right?
And it just wasn't a good feel for me. I didn't think that was my purpose, but I also went all throughout Jersey with a program called Steered Straight,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that. Um, but it was a grind, every day going somewhere and speaking to the young people. But then I got that phone call, and I know that was something that I was interested in because I would do my own camps. But it wasn't something that I always thought of doing, like to be a coach. But I always felt like I was a teacher.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. I mean, look, I mean, think about it, right? When you play at a high level in college and then the pros and you have a good body work and you win a ring and you got that, credibility and that experience, then obviously, you walk in already where young players, they have to show you that sign of respect. Like, hey, man, this cat's been he's done it before. Like he knows exactly what it takes, kind of get to this level. Do you? I know you enjoy what you're doing right now, and like I said, I mentioned before you came on, the season that you guys had last year was unbelievable. Was it one or two losses? You got, you won a bowl game as well. Your defense, since you're part of that core. I mean, they played lights out. Do you enjoy coaching young kids into young men?
You got it right on. Just the impact and being able to develop them on and off the field, to be that mentor, to teach them all the life lessons, the things that I've learned over the years, um, as a pro, and just to kind of like help prepare them for what they want to accomplish. I really enjoy doing that. Just breaking down opponent, what's my matchup, my techniques, my fundamentals, big picture, all those things is I really enjoy doing. And some of the things that I do is what I always wanted from a coach when I was a player.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about this, right? Your playing career, you played under Cowher,
Correct.
Belichick, Mangini, right? I mean, you're talking about different contrast in styles. Even though Cowher, had that passion, Belichick a little more stoic, and I guess Mangini was he a little more, the players' coach, laid back compared to the other two.
Uh, it's hard to say because when he first took over the Jets, he was trying to establish a culture and kind of bring it up like
Yeah,
how it was in New England. And it was kind of hard because you had half of the team was under Herm.
right.
That was kind of different. That was a different approach, a different style. Um, but then you'll see when I want to say what was the Brett Favre when he came, he kind of lightened up a little bit and tried to bring his personality to it because he was my position coach and D coordinator in New England. And
Hmm.
great guy, like very very down to earth, cool guy,
Yeah.
guy that I really respect. But if you don't really get to know him and understand that, then you would never be able to see that side of him.
And that's right. We sit, what I do, and we just yap, right? And I've been in enough locker rooms, but obviously it's different as a player. You're there every day. You're in the trenches and you see exactly what's going on. So you kind of understand where the coaches are coming from, where your teammates are coming from, because sometimes nobody wants to be bothered with guys like me, popping microphones and questions in their face and trying to get stuff out of them. I mean, it is what it is with that, right? I mean, after a while, you're just like, all right, next question, or we're on to Cincinnati, blah, 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 blah. I want to ask you though, before we get back to the NFL stuff, just going back to Iowa State and, tough conference, but defensively, as I mentioned, you guys were just stellar last year, and you got some ball hawks right? In that backfield. I think you guys had 8 interceptions. You had the redshirt sophomore, the kid Williams, all Big 12 second team honors. I mean, you've had a bunch of big time, defense is stacked, man. I mean, I know you can't really, I'm not asking game plan, just your overall outlook where you think this team is at heading in to the season, which is right around the corner.
I mean, we have a great culture at Iowa State. Coach Campbell do a good job of Coach Campbell as well as the coaches do a great job of bringing the right guys that fit the culture, fit our scheme. Defensively, I would say we play a lot of players. So
Mm,
when you talk about going into this year, last year we had a lot of injuries,
yes.
and because of those injuries, it allowed us to play a lot of young people. And going into this season, we have a lot of players who have meaningful reps, so it's really good. But I would say we probably brought back 80% of our team. Now we definitely lost some key pieces, but I feel like we did a great job of addressing those needs this all season, whether it was in the portal or in recruiting with high school players. So I think we have a mix of some really good talent, probably some of the best that we've had in a while here at Iowa State. So it's going to be exciting and interesting to see how everything plays out.
The portal makes it exciting too, right? When players are transferring left and right, and you can get a little jolt on both sides of the ball, and sometimes it can hurt a university. And we've seen that over the last year. I do want to, lastly, on the college football front, were you with Iowa State? You guys played Iowa, I think, 2 years ago. Cooper DeJean, obviously, big time player with the Philadelphia Eagles. Your position as well. Had the pick six in the Super Bowl. Do you recall when you guys played them?
Yeah, but I also was at Wisconsin.
Okay, so you missed. Okay, so this is going to be
But we played Wisconsin. We played them 2 years, the 2 years that I was there. So
okay.
played against him for 3 years straight. I would say I don't really remember much from him. My first year at Iowa State,
Okay,
no, he followed. Like I don't know how impactful he was.
right.
I can remember like a big play. I know he was at some point when it got close, they was putting him in position to play our best guy. But my last year at Iowa State, when we played them there at Iowa,
Hmm.
he was a man. I think he had I want to say he had a pick six, and I want to say he had a big time punt return that really put them in position to win the game because it was a really windy day, so it was all about field position, and he I knew he was big time after that game.
And then obviously we saw what he did on his birthday, picking off Mahomes. I mean that game was over. Probably even before halftime. Are you still? When I say connected, do you still, with everything going on, do you still watch and follow the NFL?
I try to when I have time. I try to stay connected with the players that I either personally coach or at least was on this team that I was coaching for.
Yeah.
I always
Who are some of, I mean, we always talk about this, right? When we kind of throw back with some of the listeners and whatnot, some of the toughest wide receivers you had to defend in the pros?
toughest wide receivers. Uh, because when I look, so just take you through. So when I was in Pittsburgh, I
Yep.
was a role guy, played a lot of special teams.
Yep.
When I got to New England,
Yep.
that's when I really started to get in the mix. So I was in the slot a lot. But playing against Hines Ward when I was with the Jets, when I played in the slot, you got guys like Wes Welker. Um, Ocho Cinco is a good match, but a lot of times when we played them, I would be matched up against what's the TJ who's Mazat.
Who's Mazada? Physical receiver, good receiver.
Yeah, so I would always match up because he was in the slot. Um, there was times where, especially like in our system, New England, Cleveland
Yep.
system, we was all about taking the best players out.
Mm,
So
yes.
we would double guys. So when I was starting, I would be on the double. Let's double Moss.
Yep. Yep.
Revis will be on the other side on his, you know.
Yeah. What? That's funny, man. That's I was talking a little bit of we mentioned this the other day. Sauce Gardner's getting paid, and someone chimed in. He doesn't have any picks. I'm like, yeah, that's why he's getting paid. They don't throw to him,
Yeah.
like with Revis. Sometimes you're just not going to pick on the guy.
Yeah, early on, they would try to see what Revis got, and he took advantage of it. But as his career went on, he had less targets.
Couple guys are chiming in. They wanted to know, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Welcome to the NFL moment. Probably year 3. Because, again, I didn't play much early on. And then we were playing Cleveland in the playoffs. And it was that game where it was a back and forth game. And
Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback, I think, for Cleveland, right? That was a high score. I know it was a high scoring game.
Yeah, and Tommy Maddox, I think.
Yeah, I think you had Maddox. Maddox was, yeah.
So I'll never forget, up until this point, I haven't played all year. Maybe I would get in a nickel package and blitz, a lot of special teams. But I think we had like 2 injuries.
Okay.
And now I'm starting in the playoffs. I get Northcutt, Kevin Johnson, all those.
Kevin Johnson was a stud.
They were talking so much trash to me. They said they going to see if I'm ready to play. And the game plan was to go at me. And I think early in the game, Northcutt, he took me deep on a fade. It was the backside of 3x1. And in my head, backside of 3x1, I thought they was going to do an extra individual and run a bang 8. And he stuck me and then inside and went vertical. And they beat me on the fade. That was my welcome to the NFL moment.
Really?
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying welcome to the NFL in a bad way. Now, in a good way, my rookie year, it was my punt return for a touchdown.
Against Washington.
It was a surreal moment. All the greats, and if all the Steeler greats was there, it was the last game in Three Rivers. So that was in the whole year. I was always close to scoring, but never could finish. And then I finally finished that last game to kind of jumpstart our comeback.
Yeah, I just pulled. I watched that. I think it was about a 53-yard return punt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. When you look at the NFL right now, and we always talk about the quarterback position, the face of the franchise, the leader, right? The recognizable player, if you will. Now, again, look at the quarterbacks you played with, obviously with Brady, but you also played with Stewart. And we're seeing now there's the quarterback that can get out, use his legs, scramble. We're seeing it, whether it's Allen, whether it's, even, a little more older, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. You're seeing it with Stroud a little bit, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love. I always thought Slash was such an I still remember when he corkscrewed that ball 60-something odd yards. I think it was to Westbrook in college, right? That Hail Mary, Colorado and Michigan. I went back and I looked at that team. You guys were absolutely stacked on offense and you were stacked on defense that year. And correct me if I'm wrong, was it your second year or your third year? I think you guys lost to the Patriots in the divisional round.
It was my second season. We was real confident. We might have had like maybe 3 losses, 3 or 4. Like we were rolling. And from what I hear, Belichick had got some information because he was good with grabbing information and showing it to the team to get them going. And he showed them he gave them or showed them something saying that the Steelers had already went on and got their Super Bowl tickets. Like, Yeah, those guys, they already preparing for the Super Bowl, and yeah, it was a great game. It was a close game. To be honest with you, I think I want to say Brady was the starter and got hurt during that game, and the old head Bledsoe came in and did what he does best.
And sling it.
Yeah, so it was a good game. Special teams, because we gave up a block. I want to say a block field goal, as well as Troy Brown scored a punt return
Mm.
on us as well. So special teams killed us.
Mm. 10-year pro Super Bowl champ Hank Poteat, kind enough to join me for a couple moments, doing a great job at Iowa State as well, part of that coaching staff. What was it like to just kind of sit as a defensive unit and peek up and see Brady? Just see what he's doing.
I mean, personally, going into a game, you just always felt like you had a shot, no matter what the situation was in the game. He was always locked into what was going on, communicating to the whole team, motivating the guys. But he always, I felt like, gave us a chance. Like, you never felt like you was gonna lose. Like, no matter what the situation was in the game, you just always had that confidence. I always told guys, even with him as a leader, like, he made sure he made everybody feel important. And I remember when I first got there, I was walking around the locker room, saw him late, and he asked me did I want to go out with him and his old lineman. They were going out to eat and to the movies.
Really?
So I was like, man, this is a great dude
Yeah.
to invite me out with the team, with the old lineman and him. But he always made sure that he made everybody feel important.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the work ethic and the preparation, right? To see what he's been able to do, in his career, and then obviously, late in the career with New England, and then go to Tampa, and then win that Super Bowl as well. And you're part of that squad in '04 that defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. Lastly, before I let you get out of here, and this is a media kind of question. We know that the hoodie, I call him the hoodie, Belichick, is coaching in Carolina now. Now, I believe it's going to be one and done. Now, I know he's your former coach. I get it. I understand. Everyone revered the hoodie, Belichick. Okay. Do you see him coaching back in the NFL?
Yeah, I actually thought he would. You talking about after?
Oh, I think he lasts one season in Carolina, and then he wants to beat Shula's record. And I think this is let me go to Carolina. Let me just I don't want to say breathe a little, but help flip a quick program, get my kid there, and then all of a sudden a job in the NFL. He adores the Giants, and we have no idea, my Giants, what's going to go on with Shane and Dable, which is a conversation for another day because it's painful. They've just stunk over the last 15 years. But I'm telling you, if that opens up, then I think you're going to start to connect the dots, and Belichick's going to be like, hey, you know what? Why not go back to the team that he's, revered with and loves?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him going back. To me, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year um, in college, like how well he connects with the players. Because I've only seen one side of him, and that was he already had an established. Because when I was in New England, we had a great veteran leadership, and those guys made sure that everybody lived up to the Patriot way.
There you go. It's all about culture. That's all it is, right? We talked about that yesterday. It's at the end of the day, everything is culture. If you've got the right pieces in place with the right coaching staff and everyone buys in, you just said it, the Patriot way. It doesn't matter if a guy had a season or two with the Pats, or like you won a championship with the Pats or a cup of coffee with the Pats, they always revert to the Patriot way. So are you not putting words in your mouth? Do you think it'll be tougher for him to get through to kids as opposed to like grown men making millions of dollars?
It's hard to see because by the time I got to New England, I already seen how I've seen an established culture and leadership by the time I get there. So I don't know what steps he took to get to that place, that point, and how long is he going to be able to, especially based off of what you said, if you think he's a one and done, how much time is it going to take for him to do that? And I don't really. It's hard to see based off of his personality that I saw in New England to see how he would interact and connect with these young players. And the players that we see now are different with the players from my time or before that. It's just a different. So you got to be able to adapt and get to really understand them.
There's a part of me that believes he took this job almost to remind the NFL he can still coach. And I know, towards the end, a little bit too much power, too much stuff between him and Kraft, and now the back and forth. A couple guys have said, look, he lost his fastball. I don't necessarily believe that. I think a year away and you kind of recharge. There's no pressure. Like, what if they win 4 games, 5 games, and they're really hard and he sets the program up? He's going to look like a hero. I just think with his, and let's call it for what it is, the ego and the fact that he's right there trying to catch and surpass Shula, to me, that's the ultimate for him. He wants to surpass Don Shula, and the only way he does that is if he gets back in the NFL. And you know this, look at all these coaches being recycled in the NFL. There's no more Cowhers where you're there. Andy Reid, a long time with the Eagles and now with Kansas City. Belichick, a long time with New England. Now it's let me give you 2 or 3 years, and if you can't get it done, you're fired. And the GM's fired, and now we're going to bring somebody else in. So that, to me, the shuffling, the revolving door of NFL coaches, I think, you hate to say it in July, but for a fact there's going to be 5 or 6, 7 openings. And it's just a question of, connecting the dots. What's going to be the best landing spot and who's also going to give him a lot of control, because I think at the end of the day, that's what he wants. He wants to come in and do his thing.
Yeah. Whatever he does, I believe in. I always, as a player, believed in what he was bringing to the table. He was another guy outside of Brady. The plan that he would present to us, you bought in, you believed it. You always felt like you had a chance with his plan. And at the end of the day, I think he'll be fine wherever he goes. I think this was great for him to be able to kind of like reevaluate himself and get back to what he does best.
Yeah. No, listen, you played 2 Hall of Fame head coaches, man. And then lastly, you played with a guy in Cowher. I always said every time an opening comes up, Bill looks too comfortable in that booth. He's not leaving that. He's not leaving. He likes what he does, being that talking head, right? And trying and describe Cowher in a word or two.
Word or two. Passionate.
Yeah.
Always passionate. Always energy. Player coach. Like he had fun. Anything that you would see on camera, you may think, man, Cowher's a tough. Now, Cowher was in the locker room with us. I would say he was in the trenches. Like, his players got to know him, got to enjoy him. It was a total opposite with New England.
Because Belichick was more businesslike.
Yeah, you didn't. There was no relationship.
Knocking on his door.
Yeah, there was no relationship. I can't even. I in the 3 years, 2.5, 3 years that I was there, I couldn't even tell you if I've ever had like a conversation with him.
Really? And he's the defensive side of the ball guy.
Yeah. Now we've had we would meet the DBs. We would meet say early in the morning in his office on like a Monday or a Wednesday morning, right when we was about to start putting in the plan. Especially if you was a guy who weren't on special teams, you was an older guy. He would meet with us, but it would be as a group, and he's talking ball. But to just have a one-on-one, just a conversation, no.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta make an appointment. go through the secondary. Who do you guys open with? I should know.
Kansas State in Ireland.
In Ireland. Oh, oh man, I gotta punch him up before I lose him. I can't have Hank leave me on that. Talking about in Ireland, I'm hoping to signal. I mean, that's a great spot there by my guy. I didn't want to leave him on that. I always try to go for that one last question or two. It's always that one. His phone probably rang. That's why he was checking, calling in on the phone. But that's an outstanding spot and segment with him. So they open up in Ireland. Really? Huh. I did not know that. I want to try. Hopefully, I can get Hank back on to thank him for the time. But I know he's so tight on time. That was a really good spot. I did not. That's you learn something new every day, right? When you're talking about the difference between these head coaches. Um, I suspected that you didn't just walk in to Belichick's office without a an appointment, right? An appointment. Talking about that game, yeah. And I put up that was the Holcomb game, by the way. That game was nuts. That game was absolutely nuts. Let me see something. See if you can jump on quickly. Let me see what Scott says. Belichick doesn't succeed, then he could have the same moniker as Rodgers bouncing around in a short amount of time. I don't necessarily agree to that. I don't. Because you're talking, listen, Rodgers won one ring. Rodgers should have won multiple Super Bowls. There's nothing more Belichick needs to do. It just really, at this point, there's nothing more he needs to do. He's there. He's the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Let me see if I can pull up Hank one more time, because I got to thank him for the time, and I don't want to pop him off. Right before he's kind enough to give me all this time. Let me hang on with the comments, guys. I see him coming. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see. There he is. All right. Now, real quick, before I let you get out of here, because you gave me some extended time. You said you guys are playing that game in Ireland?
We're playing in Ireland. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. There you go. You got the passport all ready to go? Updated?
Everything's good.
I was going to say, you better not wait.
Nah. We started preparing for that months ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. Outstanding stuff. I still really can't believe you. Now, let me tell you about my man Hank. When I was doing radio in Delaware on 1290, The Ticket, Hank would not only call on the show, he would never ask for anything. He would show up in studio. I would constantly bother him, get him out there on a golf course at an event, get him out there on a football Friday at Kegler's with me, you, Thomas DePay, your guy. You still talk to Bobby?
Haven't talked to those guys in a while.
Now you're just blowing up, man. I'm gonna hit up Bobby. I'm gonna try to hit up Bobby. I once in a while talk to Thomas. I think he was coaching high school.
Where is Thomas now?
I think he was coaching high school in South Jersey for a while.
Yeah, but, I kind of lost touch with Thomas.
Yeah, so some of these guys, they come and go, brother.
Yeah,
wherever the wind blows, right?
Right. Like once I left the Delaware area, that Jersey area, I feel like every job I move further away.
Yeah.
like literally every job.
Yeah. But listen, if you want to keep going down this path and eventually, I'm sure you got aspirations. Would you prefer to coach in the NFL, or do you like college and just want to kind of see if this is God's plan and just kind of keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I just enjoy being able to coach, be able to teach, be able to impact young players. And I feel like wherever the opportunity presents itself, and that's where, God is leading my family and I, then that's where I'll go. So, being here at Iowa State, I'm excited about the opportunity and the young people that I have currently in my room, and, just take it year by year.
Yeah. Well, listen, year by year, day by day. I all I know is as you get older, you blink and the days go by faster, the months go by, the years go by. And I'm thinking to myself, I was calculating this. I was like, Delaware, 2007, 8, 9. You had your camps back then. I'm like, oh, that's almost 17.
Right. So when you think about it, 2007, my son was born in '07,
Yeah.
and he's now a freshman at Tennessee.
Where is he?
He's a freshman. He plays football for Tennessee.
Oh, night. Wow. My God, bro, you getting you get- you and I both.
Yes,
When I
sir.
text you and I was like, "You still doing the camp?" You're like, "Nah, man."
Years ago. Yep. Yep. So
Oh man. Well, look, man, I'm glad we finally hooked up. I definitely appreciate you taking time and jumping on and sharing a little bit, some NFL and a little, kind of going back down memory lane. Listen, wish you the best of luck. You got an open invite to come on anytime. I'm probably gonna, I know your time's gonna be tough during the season, and sometimes even when you were playing, I was blowing you up talking about these games.
mhm.
You were a player. But you know what? Hank always took the time to respond, and that's always a good thing because he knows I'm a pain in the ass. But listen, man, I wish you the best of luck. It's great catching up, and good luck with the kids this year. I think you guys are going to have another unbelievable season, and hopefully we can talk again, brother.
Yes, sir. We'll
All right.
connect.
All right. Be well, man. I
All right.
appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You got it. All right. There you have it. There's my guy, Hank Poteat. And man, it's been a minute since we talked. It has been a minute since we talked. He's just a good dude. He really is. Think about he played under Cowher, Belichick, Mangini, played with Brady, played with Favre, Slash Stewart as well. Let me get some of these comments. Quick timeout. By the way, Lloyd is going to jump on at 5:30 and John Bueller at 5:05, but we're fast approaching 5 o'clock. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. And hey, this is the last time, by the way, the wrestling event is this weekend. So enjoy the last time we're running this commercial.
The blast got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Get it cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Do more than dip in the flow. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Do more than dip in the flow. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock. Good stuff from Hank Poteat. He mentioned that game. I'm sure someone's going to bring it up. His welcome to the NFL moment. What year was? I have to go back and check out that year because that Browns team, they were. I know 2007. They were 10-6. And I know Holcomb, remember too, they had Derek Anderson, but I don't know. And Ball 316 is pretty good with this. He's pretty fast with this. I'm trying to think of the year that it was Holcomb, because they had some lean years after that, 11, 12, 13, obviously. Let me see. Because that's way past. I mean, Hank won a ring in 2004. So this had to be What year was it? Oh, 2002. There it was. I just pulled it up. 2002. 30, that was with Pittsburgh. 36-33. And let's check out the numbers. So Hank basically was making fun of himself saying he got torched in that one. Kelly Holcomb threw for 429 yards, 26 of 43, 429, 3 touchdowns. The big play receiver that day was Kevin Johnson, 4 for $140. How about William Green? Remember William Green, Atlantic City product. Who else? Norcutt had 92 yards. Andre Davis had 65. And Tommy Maddox threw for almost 400 yards with Pittsburgh that game. Hines Ward had a $104, and Burris had 100 yards. Wow. That is, that team was stacked. That team was absolutely stacked. They really were. And, that Iowa State team that he's with right now, they were very good last year. They were 11-3, first double-digit win season in program history. Remember, they played in Big 12 championship game. So, good questions from you guys, though. Really good stuff. I remember, too, that punt return was against Washington at the time. So, all right. So I mentioned to you guys these teams right now. Oh, and by the way, because it's a Friday, we always like to ask, what the frig happened in the world of sports. Have you guys seen this story with the CEO that got caught? What's astronomer? The Andy Byron, right? Or Byron. He got caught on the, do we even call it the kiss cam or just a cam? He got caught in a Coldplay? Oh, my goodness. That story, it's such a, cringe-worthy video to watch. Man, I think when something like that happens, the kiss cam will never be the same for men going forward. Because if you're first of all, if you're dumb enough, to be unfaithful, if you're dumb enough to cheat, at least be dumb enough to do it in private where no one's going to, figure it out. That's the thing. Like, I don't get it. It's like, look, you're dieting down. That's fine. You don't want to have donuts, but let's be honest. If you walk into Dunkin' Donuts and you're eating donuts, you're cheating on your diet, you can't really hide from that. You're doing it right there. You're doing it right there. So, like, I'm saying to myself, this guy's out there and he's caught on the big Jumbotron. And you always know the people in the kiss cam who are in trouble, who look like the deer stuck in headlights, because they're the ones they kind of do the Isaiah Thomas. Remember when Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys were walking off the court early when they lost to the Chicago Bulls? You know how Isaiah Thomas, he kind of went, like, he kind of did the dip. That's what these guys do. The kiss cam comes on, they go like this. They dip and then they pop back up. To me, if you're caught, you're caught. And at a Coldplay concert, what the freak? No good. No good. I really hope the voice you hear in the background on the mic was the lead singer. I don't know. Am I? What? I think that guy just got... Oh, really? I did not... I didn't... All I saw was like the video. I didn't turn the volume on. I just looked at it real quick and it was cringeworthy. Wow. I think that guy just got caught. And he got dimed out. Oh, man. That's what I'm saying. And you're going to dime the dude out? But lesson be learned. That should be a lesson. You're going to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Make sure you do it in someone else's kitchen, not your own. All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock. So we've got taking a step back. I said Kansas City. I said the Detroit Lions. I got some comments. I want to read them off as well. I want to get you guys involved in the conversation. 2 or 3 outside the box teams right now, NFL-wise, outside the box, that are ready for the next step. When I say the next step, a big-time jump. a big and don't give me the Eagles, don't give me Kansas City, don't give me the Lions. You can give me that fringe, perhaps bad team, that fringe playoff team. But I've got my two taking a step back, and I told you why. Kansas City and Detroit. I think those are the two teams that, even from a betting perspective, if you're looking at the Super Bowl odds heading into 2025, Detroit, right now, their Super Bowl odds are plus, what are we, 150 to win, and then win the division, and then 900. Here you go. So Super Bowl odds, the shortest odds right now belong to the Philadelphia Eagles at plus 650. Buffalo is at plus 700. Baltimore is at plus 700. Kansas City is at plus 750. The Lions are at plus 900. And then if you really want to feel a little courageous, Denver's 30 to 1. Chicago is 30 to 1. Arizona is 50 to 1. Where's Washington? Washington is 20 to 1. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was not supposed to bring up Washington. Cincinnati's 20 to 1, and the 49ers are 20 to 1. So now you're jumping from plus 400 to plus 650. Those three teams, the 49ers, Cincinnati, and the Commanders, 20 to 1. Not bad odds. You have some pretty decent value. Their win totals are fairly low, to be quite honest. 10.5, 10.5, 9.5. And then if you look at their numbers, it's in plus money to make the playoffs as well with some of these teams. But the Lions are plus 900. I just don't see it. I don't. Those types of actions are not sanctioned by the corporation. We talking about the betting lines, or are we talking about getting caught in cahoots? Right? Because if you're in cahoots, then that's a major, major, major problem. Yeah, I mean, could he have been set up with the camera? You going conspiracy theory with me, Michael? You think so? His wife scrubbed everything on the Facebook, right? And rightfully so. You can't listen. I don't condone those actions. That's bad juju. It's bad karma. Period. But if you're going to be if you're going to be unfaithful, if you're going to get caught with your hand in cookie jar or parking your car in someone else's driveway, at least be smart about it. And I'm not condoning it, but be smart about it. It's like you're walking in, you're going to rob a bank. Are you not going to wear a mask? Right? You're a little kid. You're going to 7-Eleven. Do you think it's smart to grab the Twix bar that's at the counter? Or maybe, as you're walking out, you see maybe the Reese's Pieces right there and you just snatch and grab. I mean, come on. It's a lesser of two evils. Like, this dude's at a concert, I don't get it. I don't get, and like I said, this changes the dynamic of the kiss cam going forward for the rest of our lives. It does. It changes the dynamic. You can no longer go to a sporting event and say to yourself, I am safe. It's not. You can't. You cannot do it. You would be foolish to try to do it. Because, eventually that kiss cam is going to screw you in the end. And if you put yourself in that position, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. All right, well, we're gonna take a break, and then we got John coming up on the other side. All right, let me reset the table. We got my guy John coming up from Fansided. We're going to talk a little college football with him, SEC. We want to talk a little baseball as well. I got some comments. You guys, for some reason, like the hand in the cookie jar. That's the example I use. All right, 5 o'clock straight up. We'll take you up to 6.
Blast, got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Get it cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in the car. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down, going down.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
Now we got my guy from Fansided, John Bueller, kind enough to join us for a couple moments in his weekly spot at 5:05. Kiss Cam, pros and cons. Go ahead. I'll let you lead off.
Yeah, I heard that backstage, and you're talking about obviously what went down with the couplet or the fair couplet at a Coldplay concert.
Yeah.
I saw something on social media that said like, it's been a couple of years since Coldplay had a single. Now they got two.
I saw that too. That's fantastic. Like all of a sudden, their record, their record CDs, albums, whatever, everything's going to go up. Their music's going to spike on Spotify. Yeah, man, it's just some of these stories. That is a what the frig kind of story on a Friday edition. But again, John Bueller does a great job. Lead writer, Fansided, obviously host a lot of the pods as well. The Blog and Dirty podcast does a lot of stuff with the SEC. I saw that. Did you guys do anything with Media Day, or you just you were recapping it, SEC Media Day?
Kind of recapping it. Unfortunately, like my dating anniversary lined up with SEC Media Days in Atlanta, so like I wasn't able to like go. Like, oh darn, like I guess we're not going to do it. But yeah, I just had some thoughts about what's going on with Media Days and everything. SEC football's back, and they voted on things, and we got more things to talk about, which is what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, we actually broke it down a little bit. Nick Costco from On 3 joined me, and we were kind of going over some of these odds. And I know you're a big, obviously, SEC guy. You're a big Georgia guy. You look at these title odds from FanDuel, plus 280 Texas, Georgia plus 290, Alabama plus 480, LSU plus 700. We were kind of talking about, obviously, you're looking at the prohibit favorites in the conference. And I still look at Georgia at plus 290. The question is Texas going to be able to beat them, right? Because Texas lost to them twice last season. They were favored both times. To me, it starts and ends with that Georgia defense. I understand there's turnover, but right now, if you're handicapping that conference, objectively now, who's the best team?
It's really close. I would still say it's got to be Georgia because Texas has not beaten them yet. They have to go into Athens, which Georgia has not lost at home since before COVID. So that's going to be tough. Again, maybe Arch Manning's the more well thought of quarterback, but Gunnar Stockton's got some stuff he can do too. Neither have played very much. Smart's a little bit better of a coach than Sarkisian, although I think really highly of Sark. Both teams have a lot of talent on defense. I do wonder about Georgia's offensive line a little bit, but receiving game is going to be pretty good. Texas did lose a lot to the NFL. You're splitting hairs here.
Sure.
I really wouldn't argue with anybody if you have Georgia or Texas as one, but the other's got to be two. And then there's like a cluster about three teams you could probably stack up 3, 4, 5.
Do you have, we were just talking a little bit about it regarding the NFL. We know there's always going to be teams taking a step back, and then there's going to be teams that are kind of trending up. Do you have a sleeper team or two? Are we looking at Auburn? Are they undervalued? Is Florida overvalued? Like a team that you think outside the box could maybe compete here?
I would say the one team that I've kind of gotten pretty high on of late is Oklahoma. And I don't like Brent Venables at all. I don't trust him. I think getting Ben Arbuckle to come in from Washington State's going to really transform that offense. Like literally you and I could have done a better job than what Seth Luttrell did a year ago. I think getting John Mateer coming in from Wazoo, that's a huge step up. He might be the most talented quarterback in the SEC, and that includes guys like Garrett Nussmeier and Lenore Sellers at the top of it, along with guys like Arch Manning and DJ Lagway, who have a lot of promise too. But then you also, you get Jay Knott from Cal to come in, helps solidify the offense. We know that Venables is a really talented defensive mind. Also, there's a lot of urgency there. I mean, the longtime athletic director, Joe Consiglione's been at OU since like 98, like forever. He's stepping down. So there's going to be a new AD coming in. and there's probably no ties to Venables, so he's got to win unless they bring in like Zach Selman back from like Mississippi State. He's from the famous Selman family and everything like that. But Oklahoma's a team that I think people are sleeping on. They've got a very tough schedule, just like Florida, but like the gap between them and Florida is not as much as what people would think. So I'm kind of leaning more towards OU. Like I've come full circle on them. I've flipped my my Sooner schooner, and I'm just spinning it out doing a donut in the middle of Owen Field right now.
We also, there's all the bottom feeders, right? I mean, how bad do you think it gets for Kentucky? Their win total is 4.5. The bottom pretty much, about to fall out.
Every other team in the SEC, I think, has hope of them. Like I don't even Mississippi State. Like at least the guys are playing hard for Jeff Lebby. When it comes to Mark Stoops, he's the longest tenured head coach in the SEC. He's been here since 2013, and he wins with defense. He's essentially Iowa of the SEC. No offense whatsoever. And they got Zach Calzada as their quarterback, which may be an upgrade over Brock Vandagriff, who I told everybody wasn't going to be good transferring from Georgia. If it hits the fan for him there at Kentucky, like they may get rid of him. Like Mitch Barnhart's been a long time athletic director, not dictator, director. There in Lexington. He's had success moving on from John Calipari in favor of Mark Pope on the basketball side of things. Baseball program's good. I feel like you've kind of plateaued at Kentucky a bit on the football side of things. Louisville's kind of hitting its stride under Jeff Brom. There could be a lot of pressure. But conversely, like Stoops, like he could have an exit plan. Like if Mike Norvell fails at Florida State, he had success there as a defensive coordinator. He might be a candidate. And if Kirk Ferentz ever leaves Iowa City, he may just go home. Or he could coach the Youngstown State Penguins for all I
know. You mentioned Arch Manning. I mean, listen, I feel as though you got that, the buzz with Manning and the pedigree and the name. And then obviously look who they open the season up against. I mean, are we going to come that Monday overanalyze that game, especially if he struggles? I mean, I feel it's going to be overanalyzed anyway, but yeah. Is that fair? Because, then he can come back and he can have 2 or 3 really good performances against, let's just say, lesser schools, so to speak. So, I mean, the buzz around Arch Manning right now, just kind of give me the national perspective.
Man, that's a tough spot. Your first, like you've played 2 games that you've started. You've started against Mississippi State and ULM. And then you got to go to the Horseshoe. And what's going to be Lee Corso's last game on game day. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. Game day's there. Big noon's there. The whole college football world's like essentially in Columbus. And you're absolutely right. Like whoever wins or loses in that game, it's going to be magnified. Like we're going to be praising Julian Sayin. We're going to be crushing Arch Manning, vice versa. Ryan Day is a genius. Steve Sarkisian's an idiot. I don't know. But it's a very tough spot because it's going to be 2 new quarterbacks, replacing Quinn Ewers and Will Howard there in this game. So, I mean, it's going to be overanalyzed. Both teams are going to get pellets on the wall here. But, if Arch Manning looks pitiful, then you're wondering, like, okay, can you beat Georgia between the hedges? And then I think you got to beat Florida in the swamp too. I think you also host, I think you host A&M later. So you've got some tough games on the schedule. You got to get, I think Texas, Alabama, and Georgia are all like 9.5 wins over under total this year. But like, if you get 10 in the SEC, you're going to make the playoff, but it could go 9-3 a lot of different ways for all 3 of those teams potentially.
Yeah. They close out the season 3 of 4 at home: Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M. You mentioned they go on the road against Georgia, and then after Ohio State, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. So you would think, okay, those are winnable games, and then maybe you come back down to reality a little bit on the road against Florida. Still have Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State. There's so much pressure, right? Because we're looking at the back of the uniform. It's all about the last name and the hype with him. And I would say this with any other quarterback, right? Because we talked a little bit about this with Shedeur after, obviously, the transfer from Jackson State to Colorado and the name. I feel as though, let it play out. Like, let him play 4, 5, 6 games. Even if he goes and goes on the road and goes 30 of 35 for 388 and 3 touchdowns and they win, that's wonderful. Right? I mean, everyone's going to say he's the next coming of Jesus. But let's be honest. If he stubs his toe 2 or 3 weeks later, or, absolutely stinks it up late in the season and has a 5-pick performance against Georgia. I think either way, kids like that, when you're starting to follow in the footsteps of, uncles or fathers or whatever, it's so hard to live up to that. Like, you have to have patience and kind of let it play out.
It's so tough because, we allowed the runway to happen with Peyton Manning at Tennessee, Eli Manning at Ole Miss, but Peyton still lost games to Florida. Eli lost Magnolia to LSU. I mean, Grandpa Red lost to Alabama back in the day in the 60s. These guys were phenomenal college players and really elite NFL players, really good players. Archie Manning had a rough deal with the Saints. God bless him. He played his tail off there.
He played his tail off, no doubt.
Yeah. But we're putting Arch Manning on this pedestal that's just it's unrealistic. It's like we didn't even do this with Bronny James, man. It's so maybe we're doing this a little bit with Jackson Holiday there in baseball. It's like allow the guy to be a kid. I mean, I don't know if he's 21 yet. He's turning 21 probably soon. He's going to play this year at Texas and next year for sure. You got to get over 30 starts before you even think about turning pro because we've seen the struggles with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis with 17 career starts. And the Colts still don't know if he can play. And you got to figure this thing out after 2 years because, the money's tight in the NFL. The pie only grows so much. I wish the best for Arch. There will be growing pains, but I think the fortunate part for him is his father, Cooper, basically says yeah, it's going to happen. I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders, but there's other guys out there who are more talented, but he's got a really good team.
I know a lot of people are actually picking right now as it stands Texas to win the SEC championship. And, the one thing I don't want is, let's just say this kid has a good 4 or 5 weeks. Then what happens? The buzz, the Heisman, come out early. Here we go. Top quarterback in the draft. He's going to be the sensational prospect. Did we not? And again, I'm not picking on him, but did we not say the same thing about Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I remember we've done this. We love to just, crown people prematurely. It's just what we do as a society. It's so frustrating. The Miz had 5 starts and he's in an all-star game. Come on. It's
we talked a little bit about that the other day. Yeah.
I mean, we do this, we do this in Braves country too. We do this with Jason Hayward. We do this with Jeff Francoeur. We do this with everybody. And I'm just, let's see what the guy can do. Let's see what their second act can be. It can be a lot of fun initially, but I want to see what Arch Manning can do, as a 22-year-old playing college football versus a 20-year-old. Before I crown him out. I think he's going to be really good, but I got to see it first.
I agree. 18 past 5 o'clock hour. Rich Quinones here. Fan side, it's John Bueller, kind enough to join me for a couple moments. You mentioned your Braves. Speaking of baseball, I didn't even watch one pitch, believe it or not, of the All-Star game. And the fact that, now you got to go into almost like the little league rules and have a tee off, a home run off, I thought was an absolute joke. And now some purists are actually coming out and saying, hey, this is how we should end games going forward. Do people not understand baseball is meant to be played at a certain pace regardless? Now, maybe that's me, the old man screaming at the porch, but hey, did you watch the All-Star game? And when you saw how, it was coming near that end and hey, here's the plan B to get through the game. I mean, are you pro or against that?
I did not watch a single second of the All-Star game. I had to watch a little bit of the home run derby reluctantly. This is not my thing. I understand this is for other people. This is how you create new fans. It's for more of a younger crowd and everything like that. Yeah, I loved the All-Star game in 2000. It was here in Atlanta. And I went to Fan Fest. I got to meet Phil Necro. I got a signed ball. All this sort of fun stuff happened. But I kind of just grew out of it. Basically, I think ever since that All-Star game where Bud Selig just made an absolute catastrophe in Milwaukee, I'm like, this is dumb. I don't care. And then, you say, okay, let's make it count for the World Series, home field advantage. I'm like, okay, I get behind that. But then the American League won every year in a row. Then it kind of had to swing the other way. And it's just can we just not leave well enough alone, man? I was not in favor of the increased bases or, the pitch count,
pitch clock. Yep.
We're what about player safety? Are we just going to take more money from people? And I never turn a baseball game off. I'm like, gosh, it was so awesome. It was so fast. I can't believe I get to go on with my life. I'm like, if I'm locked in, I'm locked in. I mean, that's
Right. And there are some teams that play like years ago when I wrote, and this is years ago when I wrote for the Sports Network, I covered the Yankees. The games that the Yankees played were like 3+ hours. They were never 2.5 hours, 2:20. They were 3.5. You're waiting for quotes at like 1 a.m, especially games against the Red Sox. They were just historically long games. That's just how baseball is played. Period. I mean, even with the MLB draft, you're trying to make it an event. Nobody knows who the hell these kids are
no,
unless you're friends with the kid in high school or you watch the College World Series. You're not rivaling the NFL. You're not.
no. Like I knew who Gage Wood was because he had that no hitter for Arkansas, and that was only like his second to last game for the Hogs. Like I don't know any of these players, and I mean, like I live in an area where there's a major college baseball, a lot of high school players around here, like some guys from my high school played in the big leagues and everything like that. But it's not the same like as NFL where you're like, okay, like I've seen these guys play 3 years in college. I know this name. Oh, I've heard of him. Oh, you've got the whole combine. But like baseball's trying to make it a thing. I wish them the best of luck. It's not quite there, but I appreciate the effort, even though it's just not for me.
No, I hear you. Man says I miss Sox Yankees 4-hour 9 inning games. Yeah. I mean, but he's right. I mean, the game is meant to be played at a certain pace, period. By the way, speaking of the Red Sox, their 10-game winning streak, kaputs. They lost to the Cubbies 4-1. Hey, real quick, before I let you get out of here, I know the trade deadline's right around the corner. I know I asked you this a couple weeks ago. Your Atlanta Braves, buyers or sellers at the deadline?
They're going to probably sell on Marcell Ozuna. He's not in the lineup tonight, the first night back versus the Yankees after the All-Star break. So they're going to go with Baldwin behind the dish and then Murphy at DH, which I'm like, okay, bold move to have both your catchers in there at the same time. Not going to sell on sale because you've got the club option for next year. Plus, someone's got to pitch for this team.
Yep.
Maybe you move a high on Murphy, but he's pretty popular. He's had some success here. Baldwin's got to get more playing time. But with Ozuna having 10-5 rights, he's going to have to waive. He can veto anything Anthopoulos does. And at this point, like he's not coming back. He's on the wrong side of 30. The Braves don't bring players back like that. It really comes down to like what team is in dire need of a bat from the right-hand side that's on a contender, and maybe he'll be open to it. I mean, again, Ozuna's had a lot of success here in Atlanta. He's played here longer than anywhere else in his career, even in Miami or St. Louis. But like, so I can understand it'd be tough to want to leave, but like this team's going nowhere. He's not coming back. The writing's on the wall here, so that's the guy I'd probably expect him to sell. But like, there may be minor tinkering here and there, but again, this team's not going anywhere. They need to get a new coaching staff. Like, I need to get a haircut.
Yeah, I mean, I know it'll be. I mean, scheduled. It'll be Strider and Hamilton tonight. And to your point, look, it's the Phillies and the Mets right now, and every team needs pitching, no matter what, come the trade deadline, right? But as you mentioned, there are certain teams that we would suspect. Look, they're going to be sellers. Colorado, you sit there and say, well, they stink, but okay, they want to be sellers, but who do they really have that's worth saying, okay, hey, we want to bring, one or two players over? It's like with the Braves, you mentioned you've got a couple players here and there where you say, okay, maybe this can be an acquisition, a trade deadline acquisition that can help me, win a playoff series, or, make a run into the pennant. So some of these teams, everyone always expects when you're that bad, you're trading off. Sometimes you just don't have worthwhile pieces.
Yeah, if you're like Colorado, like what do you realistically have? I don't think I can name a single player on the Rockies.
McCann?
Yeah, okay, sure. Is it Brian McCann, James McCann?
I thought it was Ryan McCann.
Sure. Who knows?
I think he's a first baseman. He's not a bad player.
No, but like it's a far cry from the 2007 Rockies where you had Tulowitzki and Helton in their prime. Like that's what you wish you had.
Yeah. What do you have? Did you drop any pods this week?
Yeah, I had a Blog and Dirty on Wednesday. Talked a little bit about Drake London probably needing a new contract now that Gary Wilson got paid by the Jets, and how
Monster deal.
Yeah, like Drake London's a stud, but like Garrett Wilson's a stud too, doing a lot of stuff for the Jets. They don't really have a great quarterback, haven't had a great quarterback situation while he's there. So I potted about that. And then I did a false start again on Thursday. It's the only episode this week. We had some technical difficulties when I was out. But I talked a little bit about, is Nick Saban going to come back and coach again? I don't think so. I also recapped my fun and wild adventures on my anniversary trip in Key West. That place is amazing and crazy.
It's funny that you said, technical difficulties when you were out because, God forbid if I have to travel to go cover the fights or do something right away, if I'm not on the air and I let the audience know, they heckle me the next day and say, did you have technical difficulties? So that's funny that you mentioned it. You don't see Saban coaching again?
No, I don't think Miss Terry will allow it. He's just, he's going to be hanging out at Lake Burton doing game day until he wants to fade off into the distance. I just don't see it. Like the only way he would do it is like, say, you know what, I'm going to take Toledo, the one team I coached for, and I'm going to take him to the playoff. Like just to spite everybody. But
Right. Which, it's funny because we had former Patriots cornerback Hank Poteat on, who's now with Iowa State, doing a great job in their defensive backfield as a part of their coaching staff. I asked him about Belichick, and he goes, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out this year. He thinks, it's kind of like me, maybe a one and done, and still has that itch, obviously, to get back to the NFL and try to break Shula's record. So,
yeah, we'll see.
All right, brother. Well, look, man, I always appreciate you. Don't forget, everyone, give John a follow on social media. Check out all the blogs, fan-sided, subscribe to the work, subscribe to the pod, and we will do it again next Friday. We're getting closer, brother. We're getting closer to start to go hammering down on these college football predictions and then the NFL. But I appreciate you joining me for a couple of moments, pal.
Appreciate it, Rich. Take care. See you next week.
You too. Have a good weekend. He's outstanding. All right, quick timeout. We got our guy Lloyd in the queue room, which means we got to take a quickie timeout. We got to come back on the other side. Got to get these commercials in, then we'll punch up Lloyd. We got some comments coming in as well, and we'll get to them. We'll take up to 6.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
All right, there he is, our guy, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider. That's a smooth transition in the business. Host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football on 102.9 FM, SR 102.9 FM, The Game. Our guy, Lloyd Vance, at Lloyd Vance, kind enough to join me. He does every Tuesday, Thursday, but we had to move around a couple things this week, but always kind enough to get him on for a couple moments. What's going on, Lloyd?
Doing good, man. Glad to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. All right, so we already saw that some players are getting paid. We talked a little bit about Sauce Gardner. We talked a little bit about Wilson. And then you see TJ Watt getting the bag. I mean, man, how about Pittsburgh trying to go all in with that defense? Making one more run here with Aaron Rodgers. That's an absurd, contract, is it not?
Yeah, well, they knew they had to have him, Q, and it was a situation where, they had Myles Garrett in the division. He was making $40 million a season. And they're all in on their defense, as you were kind of alluding to there. They're building their team around a running game and with Warren and the other back there and then the defense. And he's their guy. Last season, 11 half sacks, 19 tackles for loss. And then NFL high 6 forced fumbles. So he's a disruptor. He's 30 years old. So this is probably going to be his last contract. And yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, I still listen. I know these players are going to get paid, right? I get it. I mean, it's a monster deal. He's a big time player. I still don't believe ultimately whether he's paid or not, he's still on the roster. Great defensively, but I still look at this team, and we're going to get to the news and notes and some of these sleeper teams. I just, Pittsburgh's not moving the needle for me this year. They're just not. And maybe I'm too wrapped up in the whole Rodgers situation where I believe they would have been better off with either Russell Wilson one more year or Justin Fields or drafting a quarterback. Instead, this is a Jet situation. They're putting all their eggs in one basket, and I just, they can give all the money they want to these players. I just don't see them being a very competitive football team, especially in a very tough AFC North.
Yeah, Q, it's going to be tough for them. Aaron Rodgers, we saw even his last season with the Packers, he was not playing his best, and then he wasn't a big difference maker after that Achilles injury last season for the Jets, and he's coming into Pittsburgh. Obviously, you saw them in a playoff game. They really didn't have much of a chance in that game. Yeah, their defense is supposed to be their calling card, and their defense has been kind of middle of the road, and they trade Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yeah, they have Jalen Ramsey coming over, and they have the 2 tight end situation now with Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. But is DK Metcalf going to be enough offensively, along with the running backs that I talked about early? And I the number was 8.5 for them to over total, and you and I both kind of agreed. I think they're going to. He's going to have it. Mike Tomlin's probably going to have his first losing season because it's a tough division. I think the Bengals are going to get better, and I think the Ravens still are the kings of the hill in that division.
All right. So with that being said, nice little lead in. We talk about some of these teams we think might be dark horses, sleeper, like outside the box. And I pretty much, I'll give you mine, and these are going to be. It's not going to change come September, but I still believe the Denver Broncos are going to be sneaky good this year. And, I know everyone now, maybe they tune in, they're talking about overreaction, Kansas City not winning the division. It's an overreaction. Conversely, I think this is a year Kansas City takes that step back, but Denver to me, I'm high on Knicks. I'm high on the offensive line. They've got some weapons. I know I'm belaboring the point when Ingram, I think, is the sneaky signing, and their defense. And we saw how well they played in big spots last year when they had to, especially against Kansas City, a game they should have won. That's out of the AFC. NFC, and again, he is my dark horse MVP pick. If I want to go really long with the odds, it's Arizona. It's Arizona in that offense and Kyler Murray. As long as he's upright and he just doesn't have those boneheaded turnovers, I look at Arizona, especially in that division. Rams are getting older. San Fran's an enigma. And I know, for those that get on me with the quarterback, Darnold now is in Seattle. So all the people that think Darnold's going to revert back to that pumpkin benefits me, and that leaves everything right there for Arizona. I think those are 2 teams, just me, in my opinion, that are poised to break through and I think surprise this year. And when I say surprise, either push for the divisions respectively and get to the playoffs.
It's going to be interesting, Q. They're 2 good picks. Obviously, Denver last year, they kind of snuck up on some people, and you have Sean Payton there, who's a Super Bowl winning head coach, and Bo Nix had a very good season, very efficient. He's good at running the football, doing a lot of the read option things, and now they're going to have J.K. Collins coming over there, Cortland Sutton, Mims, and then that defensive under Vance Joseph. They've been an attacking group. They led the NFL in sacks last season, I think, was 63 or so, and they had Patrick Surtain in the back. So I think they're going to be able to compete. I don't know. I still think the Chiefs are going to be pretty tough in that division. I know there's going to be probably suspension coming for Rashee Rice coming down.
Definitely multiple games.
But I just think that Mahomes is probably – they're going to be on a revenge tour. So we'll see. I definitely think, though, the Broncos can overtake the Chargers, who made the playoffs last season. In terms of the Cardinals, Gannon's on a hot seat.
I know. I get it. I know.
They have not gotten it done. And the key for them is going to be that defense. They have always had Buda Baker back there doing a nice job. Now they're bringing over Sweat from the Eagles and some other pieces in the draft. So they're trying to get that defense more attacking. I think Kyler Murray, he's going to have to get back to his dynamic ways. He's kind of tentative a little bit with coming back from that ACL injury. And then he and Marvin Harrison, they've really gotten a connection. I talked to some guys. They've been working together a lot this offseason. And then you have James Conner and McBride at the tight end position who's ascending. So, yeah, the Cardinals could be in the mix. And we talked about that NFC West. They're going to beat up on each other. You know what I mean? So they're going to be able to compete with Seattle, who was around 10-7 last year, and then the Rams too. So, yeah, they're going to be a good fun pick as well.
I think – if you look at, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr., Starvin Marvin. If you look at that, again, that jump, right? I mean, go back and look at an all-time great that was with Arizona and Fitzgerald. From year 1 to 2, you're talking about ultimately an 11-time Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame wide receiver. His receiving yards 780 to 1400, his receptions 58 to 104, his total touchdowns increased to 8 to 10. So I think that is kind of where we're at with Harrison Jr. I think that offense is going to be explosive, as you mentioned. Hopefully the defense can kind of hold their own. All right, so those are kind of my two teams. What's your thought from your standpoint on a team or two that you think are ready to make that jump, that leap?
Sure, and we're always talking about every year since 1990. There's been at least 4 new teams in the playoffs, and these two teams that I'm looking at, I think are going to kind of maybe have that opportunity to go for that 6th or 7th wild card spot. I don't know about in terms of competing for the division, but we'll see. But I'll start with the New England Patriots. I think with Vrabel coming over there, they get Mayo out in terms of he's a player's coach. He didn't have that disciplined style, and 4-13 last year, so no way to go but up. But Josh McDaniels trying to redo that playbook on the offensive side, and then they're bringing in pieces like Diggs, and I think he's going to have a better season than people think. And then you have Matt Collins coming over. They're trying to fix that offensive line with Will Campbell, Garrett Bradbury coming over, Morgan Moses as well. And then Drake May, I think he's sneaky underrated, Q. He's much like Bo Nix, a lot of people didn't expect a lot of him his rookie season, but I think in terms of using the read option and getting outside the pocket, he's going to do some nice things. And then defensively, everybody knows they signed Milton Williams, and they've Robert Spillane coming over from the Raiders, and Carlton Davis, the team with Gonzalez at the cornerback position. So a lot of good pieces with them. Obviously, tough division with Buffalo, but I think they're going to be able to compete.
So obviously they didn't qualify for the playoffs. 4-13. They won 2 games at home last year, 2 on the road. They're 3-9 in the AFC, including 2-4 in the AFC East. Now, one possession games they were 3-8, but they won just once in games decided by 3 points or fewer, 1-4. With that, all that being said, and plus their strength of schedule, according to their opponents' combined win total last year, they have the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL. So you think they'll be able to kind of bank some early wins. So let me just pull up their schedule.
Sure.
They open against the Raiders at home, go on the road against the Dolphins, at home against the Steelers, at home against the Panthers, and then on the road against Buffalo. So 1, 2, 3, those first 5 games, 2-3, 3-2, 1-4.
I'll go 3-2, Q.
Right.
I think they're going to find a way against, because the Raiders are kind of downtrodden, and that's a home game. They're going to be traveling across the country. Miami, we're really not sure what they're bringing to the table in terms of McDaniel and that offense.
Sure.
And then Carolina week 4. So I think they're going to be able to sneak and get a win here and there.
Okay.
And then New Orleans week 6.
There you go. Yeah, and Tennessee. So now you're looking potentially 4-2, and the Falcons maybe 5-2, which would be that would be the surprise, start of the season. They close the season against the Bills, the Ravens, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So you're right. I mean, there could be a path to 7, 8, hell, maybe even 9 wins. I think May is going to be a really good quarterback. I think it's tough, man. You bring in, again, not first-time head coach, but you bring in a guy that had a lot of success as a player with the organization, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, next season. Not the one coming up is kind of their turnaround, but that's not a bad play. So you got the Pats out of the AFC. What's your second team?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I know everybody always like, really? But I think the Bears are going to have a chance to kind of Ben Johnson's bringing that winner mentality. They always had some talent on that team, and this is their chance to kind of step forward. So you have Ben Johnson, Declan Doyle coming over at the offense coordinator, Dennis Allen, who's the Saints head coach. He's going to be the D coordinator. Roma Dunze, everybody's expecting him at the receiver position to kind of take that leap in his second season. Luther Burden coming over in the draft. He was a dynamic guy. And then the big thing, obviously, Q, is offensive line. Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times last year, most in the NFL. So they bring over Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman from the Falcons, Jonah Jackson coming over from the Rams. And I like that tight end pick, Colston Loveland in the draft in the first round. They're going to team him with Komet. They're going to lose a lot of 2 tight end formations. And then I'll give him a security blanket for Caleb Williams. And DeAndre Swift's got to take a step forward. So they need him to play better, particularly short yardage situations. And defensively, they were sneaky good last year, allowed about 21 points per game. Montez Sweat there, obviously. Bringing over Grady Jarrett. And then they have Jalen Johnson, one of the best cornerbacks in the game. So I think it'll kind of shake out for them. They do face 10 teams, though, Q, that made the playoffs last year. So it's going to be – we're going to find out early about them.
Okay, so let's go on the guys that you believe they're a playoff team. So do you believe 2 teams are coming out of the NFC North or 3?
Obviously, the Lions. I can see the Packers and the Bears, yeah. I think the Vikings this season will take a step back.
I think the Lions take a step back. And I'm not saying they're not going to be a playoff team. I think the way you've got these younger quarterbacks coming up right now, the landscape of the NFC with teams like, Green Bay, trying to figure it out with their young quarterback, Washington on the rise, Minnesota with a young quarterback, Carolina still with a young quarterback. I feel as though the Detroit Lions, they have to win it this year. Like they have to figure out a way. You can ill afford to get home field advantage in the playoffs and give up 45 points or 40 something odd points to a rookie quarterback on the road, making an appearance on the road. That to me falls on not only on the players, the defense, obviously, and also the head coach. And I like Campbell. He's a riverboat gambler. He's feast or famine. But I look at this and I say, if Lloyd thinks Chicago is going to be better, and I'm looking at a team taking a step back, and I'm still not sold on Green Bay or Minnesota, then I almost make the case the division could potentially be between the Bears and the Lions.
It could be. The Lions were just so dominant last year, scoring all those points, and they came up short at home. I think a big thing for the Lions was injuries in terms of that, especially the linebacking unit and Hutchinson with that bad ankle injury. So, they got the running game with the 2-headed monster, Gibbs and Montgomery, and then they have Mon-Ross St. Brown and the tight end as well with Laporta. Trying to fix the defensive backfield for them. That's a big thing in terms of free agency in the draft. They were trying to bring a lot of pieces over because as good as Aaron Glenn was to get the job with the Jets, they were kind of deficient in terms of penalties and allowing big plays over the top. So I still think, though, Campbell's got the window's not totally shut on them. I think that as long as Goff plays well and doesn't turn the football over, they should be in the mix for the lead in that division.
But eventually, with the way he calls the game and the offense they have and the points and the stats that they produce, you got to get to an NFC championship. You got to get to a Super Bowl. Like, ultimately, a fan base that's so desperate to get to a Super Bowl and win it, that's Detroit. I mean, think about the handful of teams that have never even gotten to a Super Bowl and how their fan base would react. And I'm not talking about NFL championships back in the day, Bobby Lane with Detroit, but I'm talking about a franchise that has had pretty much zero success in the playoffs, other than a cup of coffee with Barry Sanders here and there. And then, over the last several years, I think there's pressure on that head coach to figure out a way. All right, if we get home field advantage, we cannot relinquish home field advantage. You get blown out like that. You lose a game like that with such high expectations. It's almost like losing a Super Bowl. Like if you're Kansas City, okay, you're saying revenge tour, but sometimes you see teams, they don't even recover.
Yeah, they were very deflated after that loss. Kudos to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders for coming in there and winning that game on the road. But they just played way too tentative, and particularly Goff just did not have his best game, and with their turnovers killed them. And they just couldn't stop the Commanders. So it's they got a lot of work to do in this offseason in terms of fixing that defense. And I think Campbell's a lot like Sirianni. The team does believe in him. His message is still very strong with them. Brad Holmes at the GM position doing a job of setting them up. And I just think the Ford family that owns the team, they're thankful. You know what I mean, Q?
No, that's a good point you bring up.
This organization and how
that's a
they
fair
were
point.
in the abyss after Matt Millen and all the mess that was there.
Yep.
So I think he does get a couple more bites at the apple. But yeah, the window could be closing in terms of Goff. Like, is he the right guy? And then you have, Herndon behind him. He's not going to put any pressure on him in terms of being the starter. So
No.
it's interesting for them, but they got to stay healthy and we'll see how the ball bounces. But they were such a high seed, if you remember. They had to buy and all the momentum, but it just didn't come together in playoffs.
No. Lastly, before I let you go out of here, and again, Lloyd Vance does a great job joining me during the week. BYP will be up very soon. And of course, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football every Monday, 8 to 9 on SR 1029 FM The Game. Give him a follow on X at Lloyd Vance. We were talking a little bit about culture in the NFL. And we went from the Sixers, and because it's Josh Harris with the Devils, to Sixers and Washington, and how some Philly fans hate the fact that obviously he owns the Commanders. And I get hammered for giving credit where credit is due, even though it's supposed to be a Commanders free Friday. Sorry. I wanted to ask you, you've covered the league for a long time. When you talk about culture with organizations, I think sometimes people will say, well, just because they had 1 year or 2 year success, that doesn't mean anything. I don't agree with that. When you come in and you get rid of toxicity and you really change it and you do a 180 and you're starting to see it's bearing fruit and rewards and wins and, potential playoff berths and playoff wins, and you're doing it with, the right coaching staff in place, the right roster, a franchise quarterback, that tells me you are in you're trending up. So I say it to say this: even if Washington struggles a little bit this year or they don't make the playoffs, I don't think last year was a fluke. I think what's already been built, they are building upon that. That's kind of my point when you talk about culture in the NFL. I mean, when you hear that word, do we use it too loosely, or you look at a team like Washington and you say, okay, they've changed that culture?
No, Q, it's important. You have to build a program, and it starts top down. And you talked about Washington and the way the Commanders, under Daniel Snyder, it was just a cloud over the team. It's just mismanagement in terms of the coaches he hired and fighting in the front office and players maybe getting away with things they shouldn't in terms of, leaving practice early, not putting the work they needed to do. And they just came – Quinn was the elixir,
Yep.
and then Joshua Harris kind of came in there and he was like, okay, we're changing even further.
Yep.
And they're changing the facilities. I've seen around teams, they've taken pictures off the wall and different players on there and start emphasizing, past greatness, and looking towards that rather than somebody that was a malcontent and just did not get along and toxic in the locker room. And you've seen that, where one player leaves and next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're turning this thing around. And it all starts with the owner has to have the commitment to find the right guys and interview. And then sometimes you get lucky and bring in the right guy. Look at the Eagles, when I was covering him, that was a big thing when Chip Kelly came in there. It was just a mess, at those last couple seasons. And it just was like, okay, they need a breath of fresh air. And you and I both were like, maybe Sirianni wasn't the right guy, wasn't this or that, but
I was
he
wrong.
brought a change in attitude to that team. And they got rid of a lot of those crony type players that, Kelly had, and they just weren't succeeding and got rid of them. The lifeblood of a team, obviously, is the draft. They do their due diligence at the combine and in these visits before the draft, talking to the players, seeing if they'll fit their plan. And then their position coaches are huge. These are the guys that are working with them over and over again. So that's the type of thing you want in terms of culture. And I think that's what Vrabel's bringing to the Patriots. They're trying to bring, back the pass a little bit, but also bringing some discipline and bringing some structure to a rudderless ship.
No, it's a good point. I know you weren't able to catch the early part of the show, but we had our guy Hank Poteat on for a couple moments. Yeah, and great question from one of the listeners was, his welcome to the NFL moment. And he basically saying, when he got torched in the playoff game versus Cleveland when he was with Pittsburgh. But it's interesting because you interview any type of player that had a cup of coffee or seasons with New England, and they all say the Patriot way.
Right.
And I basically was asking him about his time, New England and, the culture and kind of, now being a leader of young men in college and Iowa State and everything, and his kids playing in Tennessee, which is awesome. He sent me a picture when I was on the air of his kid. He looks like a player. But he said Patriot way. It's all about culture, right? And I think there are some teams in the NFL, when they're winning, they're consistently winning. It's not only because of the talent, it's because of the culture. Kansas City, right? Baltimore, the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're going to see some of these, younger teams that are trending up, a la a Washington. Maybe we see it with Houston. Maybe, as you mentioned, you see it a little bit with Chicago, even though, they re-signed your guy. They re-signed the GM. I got to ask you that before we close it out. But, yeah, they re-signed your guy Poles.
Yeah, that was a surprise from the Caskey family. I guess they want that consistency, Q. But his record is 19-34, and he's got to do better in terms of his drafting. I think he really focused on that offensive line and tried to fix that. And surprisingly, that was his position. You know what I mean? And that was the weakest area of that team. So they were trying to fix that. And getting rid of Eberflus, I just think that was a bad choice, and they doubled down on it, giving him an extension, and you just saw the dysfunction when Hard Knocks was there last season. So, Johnson coming in there, that winning culture that the Lions, and he helped turn everything around there. Maybe he can bring this to the Bears. But it's very important. It's not easy with this Patriots way or it's not for everybody. And you see it. You see where he's like, all right, I'm going to cut a guy that, he's just not following along, with the music. And it was Lawyer Malloy. I remember that with the Patriots. He was a guy, Lawyer Malloy, very well-respected safety around NFL, all-pro, type guy. And he just was not getting along with Belichick, not following along, and they cut him.
Yeah, Hank said in 2+ seasons, 2.5 seasons, he said he doesn't think he had one conversation with Belichick aside from when they would have like the DBs meeting, right? The defensive meeting. And other than that, it's not like people were knocking on his door to walk into his office. And that's kind of the difference, with a guy like Belichick, and then obviously starting his career playing with a guy in Cowher that was a little more rah in your face, kind of pull you to the side a little bit. And that's, both Hall of Fame coaches, obviously, but it just kind of speaks to how different organizations are run. All right. So Tuesday and Thursday, back on the air Monday with Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. You got anything on the agenda for Monday's show?
Yeah, Q, we're going to continue our previews of the divisions. I think we're going to probably talk about the AFC North, talk about the Ravens and is it more than the regular season? Everybody's focused on the playoffs with them, but they have to make that run that we've always talked about. Can Lamar overcome that 3-5 record? So in the playoffs. So yeah, the Ravens and the AFC North are going to be a big talking point on Monday.
All right. We will be tuning in as always. Don't forget, give Lloyd a follow on social media on X at Lloyd Vance. Always appreciate you, brother. And by the way, Man says, Lloyd, how's the interest rates looking? Again, he's going after the banker hours. That's a parting shot, man. But they do it because they love, that's what it is.
I guess he's listening,
Yeah, that's it, man. That's
your dig, buddy. And now he's taking the ball and ran with it. See that?
Have a good weekend, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, there you have it. My guy, Lloyd Vance, kind enough to join us for a couple moments. Last time out, we'll come back. We'll close things out on Friday. I'll give you the picks.
The blast got the drinks pouring. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Get it cool out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. You more than dip in the car. Let the
what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, 5:55, and no, I am not Madman. We got WABA tomorrow. Then we've got a remote broadcast out west tomorrow night for the fights, and we got the basketball game later tonight as well. So, read the room. What top female athlete would win Squid Games? Who are you choosing? By the way, Slippery Pete is fantastic. I'm almost done season number 1 of Slippery Pete. I mean, you need to be agile. You need to be slick. I think to win Squid Game, you also have to be a little sneaky and shady. To be quite honest, you got to be like Slippery Pete, Sneaky Pete. I don't know, female athlete. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit on that one. I don't know. Can I go battle the network stars? Can I give you an actress? Right? Maybe back in the day, Suzanne Summers, maybe making her way through that. I don't know. Well, you mean Prisoner 3216, right? Angel Reese. She's got that, I'm going to smile at you, but if you cross me, I'm going to push you off the ledge or the jump rope. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm not supposed to give it away. Sorry. I'm not supposed to give it away. You're welcome. You're welcome, de facto. I'm glad that you enjoyed the Washington Commanders segment. That's what we're here for. By the way, as we close it out, our picks, Q-Fecta. By the way, baseball back. And BYP will start in another week. So we're going with the Middays against the Reds, my Yanks against the Braves and the Rays, money line over the O's. That's true. That's true. Very tough, very strong, low center of gravity, run people over. Yeah. But you also, there has to be an semblance of Ronda Rousey. I don't know. I mean, that's, Holly Holm, Amanda Serrano, you gotta be a fleet of foot. Do you not? Squid Game is tough. I'll tell you right now, if I'm in Squid Game, I'm getting rid of the weak link first and foremost. Then I'm going after the stronger. I'm not doing the stronger. I'm going to try to saddle up with the stronger one. Then I'm going to take them out, but I'm going with the weak link because the weak link is going to cost you. The weak link is when they were doing green light, red light, green light, red light. All of a sudden, the weak link is scared and he pushes you and all of a sudden the motion sensor goes off and that's all she wrote. We can't have that. All right, got to start wrapping it up on a Friday. Good stuff from Hank Poteat, John Bueller from Fansite at Lloyd Vance as well. Catch him on Mondays with Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. Outstanding job as always with the comments. You guys are fantastic. 2 hours in the books. They fly by. We are working on a couple more segments in the next week or so. Oh, my goodness. I would just let you guys fire off the comments as we wrap it up on a What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. You guys have a wonderful sports weekend. Always appreciate you guys chiming in for the last couple moments and have a good sports weekend. Be safe, be sound. As always, we'll be back on the air next week, Monday from 4 to 6. Got some show news as well going forward. But as we like to say, have a wonderful Sports Friday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Don't get in any trouble. We'll talk to you, of course, on Monday at 4 o'clock. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, mi dia.